Hello, America. You are locked into another energetic episode of Ranting Politics Headline Updates. I'm JOC, and we've got a packed show cooking for you today. We're diving into Pete Hegseth's dramatic Defense Secretary confirmation hearing, where the former Fox News personality faced some serious heat over past allegations while promising to bring the warrior spirit back to the Pentagon. The House just dropped a bombshell with new legislation targeting transgender athletes in school sports, and Trump's shaking things up with his proposal for a brand new external revenue service to collect foreign tariffs. Plus, we'll break down Tulsi Gabbard's surprising defense of surveillance powers she used to oppose and Biden's latest move to remove Cuba from the state sponsor of terrorism list. Stick around, we're about to break it all down in classic ranting politics style. Let me tell you about Pete Hegseth's confirmation hearing for Defense Secretary. And folks, this one was spicy. The 44-year-old former Fox News personality went toe-to-toe with Senate Democrats in what turned into quite the showdown. Hegseth came out swinging, declaring that Trump picked him to restore the warrior ethos to the Pentagon. He's promising a major shakeup, vowing to rid the Department of Defense of what he calls woke policies, including climate change initiatives and DEI programs. When asked about troop reaction to these changes, Hegseth confidently proclaimed, "The troops will rejoice." He even pointed to a surge in Army recruiting interest since Trump's election victory as evidence of support for this direction. But Democrats weren't letting him off easy. They grilled him hard about allegations of misconduct, including claims of mismanagement and inappropriate behavior during his time leading veterans advocacy groups. Hegseth dismissed these as part of what he called a coordinated smear campaign. In a move that's sure to make waves, Hegseth committed to reinstating roughly 8,000 service members who were discharged for refusing the COVID-19 vaccine. He's not just bringing them back. He's promising apologies, back pay, and restoration of lost rank. The combat veteran, who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, emphasized his frontline experience, saying Trump chose him because it's time for someone with dust on his boots to take the helm. Despite unanimous Democratic opposition, sources close to the process say Hegseth is likely to be confirmed when Trump returns to office, with Republicans holding a 53-47 Senate majority. As Hegseth put it himself, "People see me as someone who hosts a morning show on television, but people that really know me know where my heart is at." He's positioning himself as a change agent, promising to focus on war fighting and lethality while steering clear of what he considers political distractions. In a significant move that's stirring up debate across the country, the House of Representatives just passed the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act of 2025. The bill cleared the chamber with a vote of 218 to 206, with two Democrats crossing party lines to support the measure. This legislation packs quite a punch. It would effectively ban transgender girls and women from competing in school sports by hitting schools where it hurts, their federal funding. Any school that doesn't comply with these new restrictions could see their funding cut off. Speaker Mike Johnson didn't mince words after the vote, citing both religious and natural law as the basis for these competition limits. But House Democrats, led by Pete Aguilar, fired back, warning about potential unintended consequences and risks of government overreach in monitoring transgender students. The numbers tell an interesting story here. While about 3% of American high school students identify as transgender, 25 states have already jumped ahead with their own restrictions on transgender athletes in competition. This federal push would take those state-level efforts nationwide. The bill's language is pretty straightforward. It would amend Title IX to define gender based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. President-elect Trump has already signaled his support, stating bluntly in an October Fox News interview that under his administration, the president bans it. You just don't let it happen. But here's where it gets interesting. Even with Republicans controlling the Senate 53-47, the bill's future isn't guaranteed. Thanks to that pesky filibuster rule requiring 60 votes, they'll need some Democratic support to get it across the finish line. So far, no Senate Democrats have stepped forward to back the measure, leaving its ultimate fate up in the air. In a bold move that's raising eyebrows across Washington, President-elect Trump has announced plans to establish a new federal agency called the External Revenue Service. Think of it as the IRS's international cousin, but with a focus on collecting tariffs and other revenues from foreign nations. According to reports from the Associated Press, this new agency would be tasked with implementing Trump's ambitious trade agenda, including potential tariffs of up to 25% on goods from allies like Canada and Mexico, and a whopping 60% on Chinese imports. But here's where it gets interesting. Creating a new federal agency isn't as simple as Trump snapping his fingers. It requires congressional approval, and while Republicans control both chambers, there's already pushback about expanding government bureaucracy, especially since these functions are currently handled by existing agencies like the Commerce Department and Customs and Border Protection. The president-elect isn't going it alone, though. He's bringing in some heavy hitters to streamline the process, tapping billionaire Elon Musk and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy to lead what's being called the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Yes, you heard that right, DOGE. Their mission? Finding ways to trim federal workforce, cut programs, and slash regulations as part of Trump's Save America agenda. Democrats aren't taking this lying down. Senator Ron Wyden, the top Democrat on the Senate Finance Committee, blasted the proposal as a stealth tax hike on American families and small businesses. Meanwhile, economists are warning that these tariffs could lead to higher prices for consumers, questioning whether this is really the most efficient way to promote economic prosperity. The move signals a doubling down on Trump's aggressive trade policies as he prepares to retake the White House, setting up what could be one of the first major political battles of his second term. Moving on to the Director of National Intelligence nomination, former Representative Tulsi Gabbard is making waves with a surprising shift in her stance on surveillance powers. In a statement ahead of her confirmation hearing, Gabbard has come out defending Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, the same surveillance authority she previously opposed while serving in Congress. The former Democratic lawmaker, who switched her support to Trump before the 2024 election, is now arguing that Section 702 is crucial for gathering foreign intelligence on non-U.S. persons abroad. She maintains this capability is unique and must be protected to ensure national security, while promising to uphold Americans' Fourth Amendment rights against warrantless searches. Gabbard's explanation for her evolved position points to recent FISA reforms that she claims have addressed her previous concerns about civil liberties protections. However, not everyone's buying this change of heart. One Republican aide described her statement as sounding like a hostage statement, suggesting she might be telling intelligence hawks what they want to hear. The stakes are high for Gabbard's confirmation. With Republicans holding a 53-47 majority in the Senate, she can only afford to lose 4 GOP votes. Senate Intelligence Committee Vice Chairman Mark Warner wasn't exactly giving glowing reviews after meeting with her, cryptically noting that he had questions going in and still has questions coming out. This marks quite a turnaround for someone who, back in 2020, introduced legislation calling for the destruction of any information about Americans collected under FISA programs. Her previous bill would have also repealed the Patriot Act and prohibited intelligence agencies from gathering information without a valid warrant based on probable cause. Senator Markwayne Mullins suggests Gabbard's position might continue to evolve once she starts receiving daily intelligence briefings, though he acknowledges the legitimate concerns about FISA abuse, particularly regarding its use against Trump during the 2016 campaign. Meanwhile, Democrats have submitted nearly 200 additional questions to Gabbard, which Republicans argue is a deliberate delay tactic threatening national security. In a significant shift in U.S. foreign policy, the Biden administration has officially removed Cuba from its list of state sponsors of terrorism. This move effectively reverses a decision made by the Trump administration back in 2021, just days before the end of Trump's term. According to sources, this decision is part of a broader agreement brokered by the Catholic Church aimed at securing the release of political prisoners in Cuba. President Biden's certification states that the Cuban government has not provided support for international terrorism during the past 6 months and has given assurances about future conduct. The White House issued a national security memo emphasizing that their core policy objectives remain focused on promoting greater freedom, democracy, human rights, and free enterprise in Cuba. The administration argues that achieving these goals requires practical engagement with Cuba and its people, taking into account recent developments and the changing global landscape. This marks a dramatic reversal from January 2021, when the Trump administration reinstated Cuba's terrorism designation. At that time, the U.S. Embassy in Cuba had accused the Castro regime of harboring terrorists and providing support for international terrorism. The decision has already drawn sharp criticism from Republican lawmakers. Senator Ted Cruz called the move unacceptable on its merits, arguing that terrorism advanced by the Cuban regime hasn't ceased. He's pledged to work with President-elect Trump and congressional colleagues to reverse this decision after the upcoming administration change. The State Department originally designated Cuba as a state sponsor of terrorism in 1982, before the designation was first lifted in 2015 during the Obama administration. The latest decision reflects ongoing shifts in U.S.-Cuba relations as administrations change and different approaches to engagement with the Caribbean nation are pursued. And that wraps up today's headlines on Ranting Politics. What a packed news day covering everything from Pentagon nominations, Title IX legislation, external foreign tax collectors, Tulsi flip-flopping to major foreign policy shifts with Cuba. Stay up to date with all our latest coverage by following us on X at RantingRP. For deeper dives into these stories and exclusive content, head over to rantingpolitics.com. And don't forget, you can also now find us on YouTube and Amazon's Audible app. This is JOC signing off, and thank you, our loyal listeners, for choosing Ranting Politics headline updates. We'll be back soon with the updates you need to navigate these interesting times. Until then, stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, stay free.
Hey, you brilliant inventors and creators. Have you crafted a product that's ready to break out from the digital world and hit the physical shelves? Imagine your creation sitting proudly in stores like Walmart, Target, and Home Depot, where 90% of purchases still happen. Well, it's time to turn that vision into reality with Product Fury. At Product Fury, we specialize in bridging the gap between online innovation and retail giants. In fact, we have secured millions of dollars of royalty deals for dozens of products at big box retail stores. Whether you're selling gadgets, home goods, or anything innovative, we're here to amplify your reach. Don't keep your product confined to the web. Visit www.productfury.ai today to submit your information for a free product evaluation. Let's get your products out of the internet cloud and into customer carts. Remember, that's productfury.ai. Make the leap from clicks to bricks and see your product thrive in the bustling aisles of major retailers. It's your time to shine on the big stage. Visit us now